To the Conservatives for 5 minutes, Rachael Thomas.
Thank you. Mr. Bibick, I just want to be really clear here. My question is with regards to the federal labor standards having to do with termination, layoff, or dismissal. My question is not whether or not you gave the employees adequate notice, but whether or not you gave the government adequate notice. According to the group termination clause, you must give 16 weeks before the termination of employment takes effect, and you must give that notice to the Labour Program's head of compliance and enforcement, and immediately send a written copy to the Government of Canada. So I'm curious if that was done.
The legislative requirements also allow for the giving of notice combined with guaranteed 16 weeks salary continuance, my apologies. So if we give 16 weeks salary continuance, as well as notice, we are in compliance with the federal legislative requirements.
So I just want to be clear, you gave notice to the Government of Canada 16 weeks before terminating.
If we give notice to the Government of Canada before the implementation of the job reductions, but combine that with a guaranteed 16 weeks of salary continuance to all employees, even those who may not otherwise have been eligible for a full 16 weeks, then we are compliant.
So again, I'm just looking for clarification then. You are confirming, one way or the other, just yes or no, did you give the Government of Canada 16 weeks notice before terminating the employment of these 4,800 individuals in February?
It is not required that the federal government gets 16 weeks advance notice if the federal government gets advance notice and each employee is otherwise guaranteed 16 weeks salary continuance, even in cases where they otherwise would not be.
Mr. Bibick, I have the federal labor standards in front of me, and that is not what I'm reading. You are required to give the government 16 weeks notice or apply for an exemption.
I've provided the full answer to the process that we adopted, which is in full compliance with federal legislative requirements.
Mr. Bibick, when did you tell the government that you would be laying off these employees?
That I don't know.
But you just said that you're in full compliance. How can you be sure of that?
Because I know we gave the government notice, and I know that we guaranteed each employee 16 weeks of salary continuance, even in cases when they otherwise would not have been eligible for it.
Mr. Bibick, I understand that you're treating this as a bit of a game and mincing your words. I'm just looking for a straight answer. You said that you gave the government notice. Perhaps you can call on your colleague if you need some assistance here. When was that notice given?
Why don't we, if we may, Madam Chair, provide an undertaking to provide that information to the committee in writing so that you have the fulsome explanation in front of you. Your questions are important, but in the time permitted, it's difficult to answer them.
With all due respect, you're welcome to table a lengthy reply and nuance your words. But in this moment, I'm just asking for yes or no. Was 16 weeks notice given to the government? You seem to be indicating yes. And so I'm curious then, on what date was that 16 weeks notice given?
So that's not what I said. I said that if an employer commits to providing 16 weeks salary continuance, then the 16-week advance notice to the government, you can follow a different path than the one that the honourable member has outlined. But we did give notice to the federal government. I just don't have the specific date at my fingertips.
We gave notice on February 8th, Madam Chair.
Thank you. That didn't seem so hard. Bravo. All right. February 8th, the government was given advance notice that you would be laying off 4,800 people from Bell Canada. Thank you. I very much appreciate that. Now, you're telling me then that that notice was given on the exact same day that the public found out. But again, according to the labor standards, notice is supposed to be in advance. Why was it done the day of?
Well,
two things. Go ahead, Rob.
I'm sorry, we've given the answer. We provided the notice in compliance with the legislation. We're happy to provide more details if you require more details, but the question's been asked and answered repeatedly.
It hasn't, actually. I just found out less than a minute ago that you gave notice on February 8th. That's the same day that it was publicly declared that these individuals, these 4,800 individuals, would be fired. That's not exactly advance notice, which is what's required under the federal labor standards. Why wasn't advance notice given?
We've provided the answer to that. There's a path, which is if you guarantee salary continuance for 16 weeks, that is a path even where the employee otherwise would not be entitled to 16 weeks. The second point is that while we gave advance notice, while we gave notice to the government on February 8th, those job reductions then all take place on February 8th, all at the same time.
Thank you, Ms. Thank you very much. We're over time. Ms. Thomas and I